I have a Valve Index, so I thought I'd try out the virtual reality mode in F122. Unfortunately, the audio didn't capture, which speaks to the awkwardness of the whole thing. I wouldn't plug everything back up and calibrate it to try again, because it's so tedious and honestly not that exciting. It was awkward trying to get the lighthouses to track the headset when you've got a gaming chair on your back and a wheel and monitor in front of you, and the cable also felt awkward as you tried to keep it away from the wheel and bash it with your arms. I can't remember if I used a setup. The default setup tends to have a lot of understeer. I was just testing out what the VR mode was like, and this was about a year after the game had been released, but unfortunately it was pretty poor. The frame rate didn't feel high or smooth, and the visuals looked a bit smushed. I don't think I'd use VR for proper races. I was about half a second per lap slower in VR, although partly that might be because I was rusty, as I'd set the original time trials months earlier. The fact that it switches back to 2D as soon as the race ends kind of limits the immersion. The view captured on the recording is the left lens, so it looks like I'm pointed a bit left. The weird field of view feels normal in the headset, but the menus are right next to you, so you have to move your head around to see all the buttons. I got into the habit of using the racing line because other drivers would run into the brake markers, which destroys them, so it was more or less the competitive thing to do to turn on the racing line for the brake marker where it turns red. Strangely, there's no HUD in VR mode, and only one camera position. Overall, it's a bit of a gimmick that I don't think they tested much. The menus are really bright and too close. The default position changes as you go from the menu to the track, and the offset option conflicts with the reset position button. I think it's enough of a chore to set up a wheel and pedals, so sorting out a VR headset and lighthouses on top of that doesn't feel worth it when the experience feels a bit like a gimmick.